Hey, little crooked. All right, so welcome back. My name is Megan, and I teach professionals how to land clients. A lot of the content on my channel is all about, LinkedIn, warm emailing, things to help you learn how to grow your business. A lot of people post content surrounding landing clients, because if you don't know how to land clients, you can't make money. But I had asked this on my Instagram and got a really good response. And, I had realized that I went, searching on YouTube. And one thing a lot of people aren't really talking about, it doesn't seem to be something that we address, is something else that's very important to growing your business. And that is your mental health as an entrepreneur. There's tons of content on mental health, there's tons on owning a business, but I wasn't able to find a lot that kind of examined the intersection of the two. And they are so important. Mental health and anything, it's all important. So that's why we're here today. Just in case it's not already obvious, I have to say anyway, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a mental health professional, I'm not trying to give medical advice. I'm just a 32-year-old woman who is a business owner, and I was also diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Kind of weird to be sharing it, but at the same time, there are so many people just like me, so why is it so weird to talk about? And that's kind of, I want to point this out because I don't share my own experiences because I think that I'm special or unique. In fact, it is the exact opposite. I know that there are a lot of people out there who are going through or have gone through what I've been through, and I'm just treating this as hopefully an opportunity to kind of bring us together, in a non-judgmental place, meaning my channel, not YouTube as a whole, because other people will be judgmental, but you're safe here, and just talk about, how I was able to continue building my business, even when I had days when I couldn't get out of bed. All right, so I won't bore you with my life story, but I do want to tell you a few of the more important parts so you know that I'm not talking out of my behind here. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety within the last couple of years, but looking back now, like way back into my childhood, I'm almost positive that this is something I've been dealing with for a very long time, and I just never knew what it was. In my early mid-20s, I finally started getting really fed up, and I thought, okay, I need to do something about this. But it still didn't occur to me that I had a real, like, a hormonal physiological problem. I thought that I just had a bad attitude and the wrong mindset. So I started digging into ways to fix my mindset. So I did the journaling and affirmations and yoga, meditation, essential oil supplements, everything I could find and get my hands on. All really good things. But when you are depressed, like legitimately depressed, at least in my experience, those things didn't make a dent. And it wasn't until years later that I went to a psychologist, and ironically, I went for a different reason. I went to get help with, my relationship at the time. And at the end of one of our appointments, I was like, oh, by the way, some days I wish I was dead, and I like my vision blurs when I'm driving because I'm starting to panic a lot and blah blah blah. And she was like, what you're going through is very common. It sounds like depression and anxiety. And she said you need to go to a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, because a psychiatrist can prescribe medication. And immediately I was like, no. I was so against taking drugs, and I was hell-bent on figuring it out on my own. But nothing I had done thus far had worked, so I was like, okay, I'll go talk to this lady and we'll see what she says. So to cut to the chase, I did end up going on medication, and it gave me my life back. And it's, I still have really like bad days, bad moments, because we're still human. Pills aren't gonna fix everything, but it's put me in this place where I have much more control over those feelings as opposed to them controlling me. So now when I go to do things like journaling and affirmations, which I do every morning, they actually work. They have an impact because I'm not in such a low place. So that was, several years growing up as, a kid into my teens, into my 20s, and then, later in my 20s was when I was finally able to really address this. But all the while, I was trying to grow my business. So, on that note, I'm going to share with you a few things that have really helped me. They might sound a little funky, it's such a personal approach, but again, maybe this is just an opportunity for us to connect, and if you want to try these things and they work for you, great. So the first tip, this is the one that's probably going to sound really wacky. I say out loud, even just to myself, if I'm starting to panic or get super anxious or I'm just really feeling low, I will say, they're just chemicals. They're just chemicals. They're just chemicals. I'll say that over and over again. And when I say chemicals, I'm referring to my hormones. My depression is getting to me because there is something chemical, something hormonal going on in my body that I can't see or, directly control. And this is one of the reasons why people try so hard to destigmatize mental health, because a lot of people still have this misconception that it's all in your head, or you just have a bad attitude, you're just sad, you're just too sensitive. I've heard that one a million times. I'm too sensitive. That's not what it is. It's so much more than that. It is a physiological thing happening in your body. And when I remind myself of that, it really helps put things into perspective. It's nothing that I'm doing wrong or not doing enough. It's just chemicals. By saying those words out loud, I've found that it helps remove me from my depression a little bit, which if you've experienced it, it can be completely consuming. So it helps take me out of it for a minute, enough so that I can kind of look at it from the outside and be like, okay, this is okay. I'm gonna be okay, it'll pass. Okay, so my next tip, and this is if you're having, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever you might be dealing with, if you're having a really bad day and your workload is feeling impossible to tackle, look at your to-do list. If you don't have one, write one down and put a dot or a little mark next to the things that absolutely have to get done today. And when I say have to get done, I mean if you don't, you're going to lose a client. And put a little mark next to them. There shouldn't be that many things, only what you have to do, and then the rest are going to wait until tomorrow. I know this can be tricky because even today, whenever I need to use this little trick, I'll look at my to-do list and I'll be like, I have to do all of this today. This is all important. It's not. Not all of it's urgent. Not all of it is time sensitive. If you can take the whole day off, that's great. Of course, take the day off. I just know that for a lot of professionals, especially if you're just starting your business or you're a new freelancer, you don't really always have the option to take the day off. So if you have to work, do what you have to do and then push the rest off until tomorrow. There's something else really important I want to add here. I know that for people who are really ambitious and goal-oriented, I am very goal-oriented, sometimes too much. When we don't feel like we have perfectly utilized every minute of every day, we beat ourselves up. Because the way we look at it, we go, oh, I spent, an hour doing this when I could have been working on my business. Now it's going to take me even longer to reach my goals. I do that all the time. I did that this morning. I slept in a little bit this morning until 7:30, and I woke up and I was mad at myself because I thought if I had been up at 6:30 like I planned, I could have gotten so far ahead. And we look at it as just another delay that's going to slow us down, and then we start to beat ourselves up even more. So I just want to remind you, your depression doesn't care. Your anxiety doesn't care that you're trying to be productive. Your hormones have another plan in mind. So sometimes you just need to give yourself the space to feel like crap. You don't have to live like that. There's help out there. But if you're having a really bad day or a bad moment or a bad afternoon and you need time to just go not be productive, then do it. It's not you. You're not doing anything wrong. They're just chemicals. It's not you. Don't be so hard on yourself if you can't force yourself out of it or talk yourself out of your depression. That's just not how it works. And no, you're not wasting time. You have a health problem. If you had a friend who was dealing with a debilitating migraine, would you look at her and be like, well, you could have spent that time growing your business if you weren't so busy sleeping and vomiting from your migraine, you would never say that because you know that she's struggling. It's no different, with you, with what you're going through. Just like you would give that friend all of the compassion in the world, you have to do that for yourself too. Next tip, I got my notes right here. This is a little more for anxiety if you're ever just starting to feel really panicked. At least for me, and I think it might be the case for some other people, anxiety feels like there's a million things happening around you and you're just at the center of it all. And you add to that trying to grow a business, which is very much like that. At any given point, there might be like 20 different things demanding your attention and you see them coming at you from all different angles and you're just like in the eye of the cyclone and you don't know how to manage all of it. So you're trying to address this and this and this and this. And of course that doesn't work because no one can do 20 things at once. And then you start to panic even more. So here's what helps me. And I think this probably boils down to me just like needing to slow my brain and quiet my brain. So maybe that's why this works so well. So usually I have a hoodie in here because I'm always cold. So I'll put my hood on and I make sure that it's covering my peripherals like this, right? So all I can see is what's in front of me. And then that right there in and of itself helps to block out all of this purely by blocking my actual vision. And then what I do, I'm always telling my students in the course, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. And I mean that, and I use that myself. So with my hood on, or if I didn't have a hood, I would just block my periffs with my hands. I'll be sitting at my computer and I look down at my feet and I actually start walking in place and saying to myself, one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, so that it's not just me visualizing it, I'm literally doing it. That's literally all any of us can do is take one step at a time. And something about doing this helps minimize all of the crap that I feel like is going on around me. And it takes, my business, my workload, which feels like this. You can't really see it. It feels like this. It feels huge. And it takes it and it shrinks it down to something way more manageable for me so that I can get a handle on it and work on my business and address my business without flipping out. So the next tip works for anxiety, depression, really just whenever you're feeling like, really bad, even if you don't have a diagnosed problem. So I told you earlier, I journal every day. I've been doing that for a while. I'm a writer, that's my background, and I've just always loved journaling. So I recently started trying something called Morning Pages, which is from a book called The Artist's Way. Great book, recommended by Sunny Lenarduzzi, who's great. And in this book, the author says that when you do your morning pages, which is her type of journaling, you should do a brain dump and get every negative, toxic, dark, self-destructive thought out of your mind, put it on paper. And just to give you some context, the whole point of it is to clear space in your mind so that you can be productive and creative with your work day. So she's trying to help you get all the junk out of your head onto paper so that it's not taking up real estate in your mind. And then after getting out all the gunk, you end with positivity and affirmations so that you're taking all of the negative things that you wrote and you're turning them into positives. So I totally get this. I did this for a little while, and there is something to be said for taking bad thoughts that are kind of just floating around in your brain and putting them on paper, because when they're right there in front of you in black and white and you can like physically hold them in your journal, it makes you feel like you have more control because they're not just floating around in your head anymore. But what I noticed was that and again, this was just my experience, I already spend so much of my energy worrying and with those fears and doubts in my head that writing them down almost made them feel more real. And I ended up not liking it. I noticed that like I'd be really grumpy throughout the day, even though I would end with, with my positive, my affirmations in my journal. By writing them, I just started to worry even more. So now what I do when I journal is I keep it all positive. But the way that I write, because I write affirmations and, what I'm grateful for, I write it so that I know that I'm specifically addressing the fears that I have, the fears and the worries. So as an example, one of my fears is just so ridiculous and I stress myself out so much with it. am always worried that I took too long figuring out what I wanted to do in life, because it's just been within like the last year or so that I feel like I've really figured it out. And I worry that I took too long and it's too late and I'm getting old, blah, 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 blah. And so when I'm journaling, I will say things like, I can accomplish my goals at any age. I'm on the right path. I'm exactly where I need to be. And I'm writing it so that it very obviously addresses those fears without writing down the fears themselves. And I've noticed this has made a huge difference for me, keeping it entirely positive and upbeat. Another little journaling tip, I still use this when I'm feeling bad about myself. I know that sometimes depression, and we kind of touched on this earlier, depression leaves you feeling like you're not good enough, you didn't do enough, you're wasting time. One thing that has really helped me a lot is to list everything I accomplished that day, and it can be business or personal. So if you're having a really lousy day, and I mean like you just woke up wishing you were dead, and let's say that day you got up, you took a shower, you got dressed, you ate something, write those things down. Those are accomplishments. Because if you are struggling mentally and you are still able to get up, get dressed, shower, eat, even though you're not hungry, that's a lot to do for someone who's feeling really low. This is just a good trick. And even now, like even when I'm not having a really bad day, if I'm just having a day where I wrap up my night and I'm like, what did I even accomplish today? And then I'll go and I'll complain to my boyfriend about it. And he'll be like, well, let's look at it. You did this, you did this, you did this. And he'll start ticking off everything he knows that I did. And at the end of it, he'll always be like, look at that, you did 7 things today. And it always makes me laugh because I'm like, come on. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I did accomplish things today. I did move forward towards my goals. I made progress. Everything's okay. So all of that is to say, try to look at everything you got done as opposed to where you feel like you're lacking. Before I end this video, I just want to remind you that all of our paths are different. We all address our mental health in different ways, but there are people out there who have dedicated their careers to helping people like us. So if you're struggling, whatever you might be struggling with, there are people out there whose jobs, it's their job, they get paid to help you. You don't have to live feeling like crap. You don't have to let it affect your business, your health, your relationships. So that's all for today. I hope that this helped. If you're trying to grow your business and dealing with mental health issues, go talk to someone. And you don't have to give up on your dreams. You can handle it. It's hard, it's a lot of work, it's very challenging, but you can handle it. So yeah, that was it for today. Thanks for sticking around. If this video helped you or gave you any comfort, please support me by clicking the thumbs up button. That will tell YouTube that you like my content, and it'll show my content to more people so that we can hopefully help more people. All right, see you later.